Wondering if this is the guy we talked about earlier,
Look at
the
this guy.
radio reporter, the UPI radio reporter, Bob Brill.
We don't know at this point, but look at this. It's a gang of people. Now, here's a guy apparently came to his aid here. And there are a couple of people you'll see. This is a Good Samaritan story. Finally, a couple of people took this poor guy out of the area and escorted him out of danger. Now, we don't know if this guy is someone who was one of the original assailants, because this is just bedlam down here, and it's hard to sort out who was doing what.
We should mention there have been several fires started in the area now. Earlier we had pictures, a place about 3 doors down from Tom's Liquor Store. There are about 8 fires going. We saw fire trucks go into the area, escorted by police officers about an hour or so ago. Up until then, we saw no police presence in the area, and that could be for any of a number of reasons. They may have pulled out of the area, hoping not to make the situation more volatile. They may just not have known about it. We heard the 911 circuits are overloaded this evening, people calling with isolated small incidents, but by far this seems to be the largest one, and again it seems to be the only one that we know about right now. We mentioned earlier that some of the off-ramps into these areas along the Harbor Freeway, police are advising motorists to stay off these off-ramps, to stay out of the area, because as you can see, you don't know what's going to happen down there, and people are getting hurt. The off-ramps are Gage, Manchester, Florence, or Vernon. And again, this is the corner of Vernon.
Report for duty, and LA City Fire also advises that all fire chiefs are being asked to report to work.
Okay, now the guy you see walking here, you see 2 guys in white shirts helping somebody along. That's the driver of the Bronco.
Yeah, and these apparently are Good Samaritans getting him out of the area. And they may have saved his life the way things are going there.
Yeah, things did turn rather violent about an hour ago. We saw people setting fire to mattresses, and
for George Bush, perhaps the most crucial 90 minutes of his presidency. For Bill Clinton, the big confrontation he's long demanded. For Ross Perot, a huge audience for his message of change and sacrifice.
Let's go get it on.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
The youth in Britain in 1992 also riot. In 1992, the nicotine patch is invented. So is DNA fingerprinting. In 1992, Sir Mix-a-Lot pointed out that Baby Got Back. Nirvana smelled Teen Spirit, and that was before Courtney Love got the chance to have Kurt Cobain slain. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen became huge because of Wayne's World, and Madonna dreamed about the good old days with This Used to Be My Playground. In 1992, Osama bin Laden, using the weapons that our Republican President Ronald Reagan gave him, overthrew the Russian puppet government in Afghanistan. In 1992, gas was less than $1.
The candidates are Independent candidate Ross Perot, Governor Bill Clinton, the Democratic nominee, and President George Bush, the Republican nominee.
We have got to stop sending jobs overseas. To those of you in the audience who are business people, pretty simple. If you're paying $12, $13, $14 an hour for factory workers, and you can move your factory south of the border, pay $1 an hour for labor, hire a young 25, let's assume you've been in business for a long time, you've got a mature workforce. Pay $1 an hour for your labor, have no health care, that's the most expensive single element in making a car, have no environmental controls, no pollution controls, and no retirement, and you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south. And that is when their jobs come up from $1 an hour to $6 an hour and ours go down to $6 an hour, then it's leveled again. But in the meantime, you've wrecked the country with these kinds of deals. We've got to cut it out.
Thank you, Mr.
Uruguay round of trade, which will really open up markets for our agriculture particularly. I want to continue to work after we get this NAFTA agreement ratified this coming year. I want to get one with Eastern Europe. I want to get one with Chile, and free and fair trade is the answer, not protection.
Number 2, change the tax code. There are more deductions in the tax code for shutting plants down and moving overseas than there are for modernizing plant and equipment here. Our competitors don't do that. Emphasize and subsidize modernizing plant and equipment here, not moving plants overseas. Number 3, stop the federal government's program that now gives low-interest loans and job training funds to companies that will actually shut down and move to other countries, but we won't do the same thing for plants that stay here.
think the principal issue that separates me is that 5.5 million people came together on their own and put me on the ballot. I was not put on the ballot by either of the two parties. I was not put on the ballot by any PAC money, by any foreign lobbyist money, by any special interest money. This is a movement that came from the people. This is the way the framers of the Constitution intended our government to be, a government that comes from the people. Over time, we have developed a government that comes at the people, that comes from the top down, where the people are more or less treated as objects to be programmed. Well, they've got a point. I don't have any experience in running up a $4 trillion debt. I don't have any experience in gridlock government where nobody takes responsibility for anything and everybody blames everybody else. I don't have any experience in creating the worst public school system in the industrialized world, the most violent, crime-ridden society in the industrialized world, but I do have a lot of experience in getting things done.
Mr. Bush, for 12 years, you've had it your way, you've had your chance, and it didn't work. It's time to change. I want to bring that change to the American people, but we must all decide first we have the courage to change for hope and a better tomorrow. I believe experience counts, but it's not everything. Values, judgment, and the record that I have amassed in my state also should count for something. I've worked hard to create good jobs and to educate people. My state now ranks first in the country in job growth this year, fourth in income growth, fourth in the reduction of poverty, third in overall economic performance, according to a major news magazine. That's because we believe in investing in education and in jobs. And we have to change in this country. You know, my wife Hillary gave me a book about a year ago in which the author defined insanity as just doing the same old thing over and over again. And I think the American people deserve better than they're getting. We have gone from first to 13th in the world in wages in the last 12 years since Mr. Bush and Mr. Reagan have been in. Personal income has dropped while people have worked harder in the last 4 years. There have been twice as many bankruptcies as new jobs created. We need a new approach. The same old experience is not relevant. We're living in a new world after the Cold War, and what works in this new world is not trickle down, not government for the benefit of the privileged few, not tax and spend, but a commitment to invest in American jobs and American education, controlling American health care costs, and bringing the American people together. That is what works. And you can have the right kind of experience and the wrong kind of experience. Mine is rooted in the real lives of real people, and it will bring real results if we have the courage to change.
Everywhere is war. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, war down south. There's war.
People, I just want to say, you know, can we all get along?